Well, this actually wound up being the third best nationally ranked matchup in the NJCAA for the football postseason bowls. After the national championship game, which will have number 1 Iowa Western take on number 2 Butler, and then you've got number 3 ASA hosting 4th ranked Snow. This all of a sudden is a great matchup. Number 6 Nassau, number 12 AWC. Let's kind of take you inside the numbers before we start talking to two of the integral parts of the machine that got AWC to this point. First, the Lions of Nassau Community College from Long Island, New York, actually won their first 9 games of the season and thought they had the 10th one in the Northeast Conference Championship game, but fell on a field goal with 6 seconds to go to ASA 30-29. It was their first and only loss of the season, and now AWC will try and tag them with loss number 2. They finished 9-1 overall. They finished 5-1 in the Northeast Football Conference, and they wind up dropping from number 3 in the second-to-last regular season poll to number 6, which is where they are as they come into Saturday's play. This is actually their first season bowl appearance in some 11 years. And keep in mind that they had made 13 consecutive bowl appearances between 1988 and 2001, and even finished 2 years ago a perfect 11-0, and still did not travel to a bowl game. They also were well represented in their postseason conference honors with the Defensive Player of the Year, their defensive lineman Amara Kamara, and Co-Coach of the Year in the Northeast Football Conference is Nassau coach Curtis Gilliam. A total of a dozen Region 13 and Northeast Football All-Conference selections, matched by your Matadors, who, after losing to Snow in the regular season finale in the WSFL championship game, wind up dropping to number 12. But they can get right back in the top 10 with a big victory on Saturday. That will be their 8th win if they can pull it off, and that would also mean it would be their 38th win in the last 4 seasons combined. That would make it the best 4-season stretch for wins in a season by any AWC football teams in history. They were also 6-2 in WSFL, and they are making their 4th straight bowl appearance, 2009 Mississippi Bowl, 2010 Hot Bowl, and now the last 2 years in the Toro Bowl. And just like Nassau, they were well represented in their postseason honors with 14 all-conference selections, 10 all-WSFL selections, and even for the 4th consecutive year, the WSFL ACCAC Offensive Player of the Year in starting cornerback Tanner McAvoy. 2 of the integral reasons why Tanner McAvoy was the Player of the Year offensively are sitting next to head coach Tom Minnick as we speak, and they also all-conference selections in their own right. On the far left, Emmanuel Bibbs, starting tight end extraordinaire, and then starting offensive lineman Dionte Savage. And Dionte, I think I'm going to start with you, mainly because you're kind of the senior member on this panel, mainly because in 2010, you were a starting offensive lineman, you take a year off, you come back. Yes, how is this 2012 team different than the team you were on that went to the Hot Bowl in Copper's Cove 2 years ago?
I'll have to say they're different by little things, like little mistakes, as far as like, I wouldn't say discipline, but I'll say like executing, like on certain plays that we run and stuff like that. So that would be the only difference that I'll see between the teams. And how can I say that?
Well, let me also ask you too, Dionte, the adjustments that you had to make. You played 2010 and then you sit out a year. How tough was that coming back?
It wasn't pretty tough because I was very ready to get back on the field. I mean, I took a year off. You know, I trained hard and I came back and I was just ready to play. I mean, I came in this season and produced. I guess I did the job that I was supposed to do on the field that coach expected me to do.
He said, I guess. Tom, I would say he did more than just get the job done, didn't he?
Yeah, I tell you what, you know, him coming back, it was a spark because he worked hard. You know, he was 400 pounds 2 years ago. He came back and, you know, he's about 340 now. And, I mean, we joke around with him because he came in such great shape. You know, during 2 days, he's out running everybody and everything like that. And it showed how hard his effort, you know, during the summer, you know, how bad he wanted to get back on the field. And you know, it tells you something about him. And it's going to pay off because he's going to get his, you know, he wants a scholarship out, and he'll get that scholarship out somewhere. But, you know, it's all the work he's put into it, and, you know, it's a credit to him for all the hard work he's done.
And when you talked about the hard work, they got that smile on the face of Dionte that we have come to expect. And also a guy who spends a lot of time smiling as well, except when he gets between the trenches, is tight end Emmanuel Bibbs. And Emmanuel, you spent last year, I think, kind of frustrated because you were getting your opportunities, then you weren't. You were getting your opportunities, then you weren't. But when you saw Darwin Rogers be able to be the starter and kind of parlay that into an integral part of the Arizona State University football machine this year, did that motivate you even more going into this year?
Yeah, it motivated me a lot. Like seeing my friend like make it to D1 and seeing how he produced there, it's pretty awesome.
You've heard Coach Minnick over the past couple of years talk about how he wants the tight ends really involved in the offense, and sometimes they were, sometimes they weren't. Did you kind of put a chip on your shoulder to say they're going to be involved this year?
Yeah. I mean, I did a lot of learning last year from behind Darwin, and coming this year, I had to focus up and be a leader this year.
What is different? I asked the same question of Dionte about the 2010 team. You were on last year's 2011 team. What's the biggest difference this year as opposed to last year?
Last year's team was a little bit more, a lot of leaders, more focused and wanted to achieve that goal. I mean, this year we all right. We got a lot of young players, but we after this one we win. We come up with. I think we'd be pretty good.
When you and I spoke earlier in the year, you mentioned leadership a couple of times, and you talked about how much you wanted to be kind of that step into that role. What in your mind is a true leader on this team?
A true leader is one they tell us to step the field. You know what I mean? Like talking to players and letting players know what we got to do to get the victory.
Dionte, you had an experienced line, but even then, with all that experience, you're coming back having to get used to your teammates. You've got a freshman center. How much time did it take for the offensive line to gel?
The offensive line, well, we was together in the spring too, except for the center, Okoa. But he came in, he adjusted pretty well, pretty quick. He learned all the plays, and hey, he produced on the field. He came as a freshman, did what he's supposed to do. Next year will be a big year for him. But the O-line, well, we clicked pretty fast because, I mean, like I said, we all been here. Most of us been here, but we got a freshman center and a freshman tackle. But they came in and they knew the plays and they adjusted pretty well to the season.
I know that, Tom, that's always something that you have a big focus on the first month of the season is getting that offensive line where it was. And I know after the first couple of weeks, you were trying to make some changes. Where did you kind of see that team come together, that part of the team come together?
Well, I think, getting Jason Malag in there at a guard helped out a little bit. He's a kid. He may not have the skill level of some of the guys, but he's a high-effort kid. He plays to the whistle and does everything that you need a team player to do. And sometimes it's not always the guy that's is the best athlete. It's the guy who plays together as a team and does things right. And he helped us out once he got in there and started playing well. And combining with the guys that have been on the line for the last couple of years, he's helped out a ton.
Emmanuel, Nassau. You don't know that much about him. You've only had a chance to take a look at film for a couple of weeks. What's it going to take to beat the Lions?
Focus. A lot of focus.
Dionte?
Focus and effort. I mean, everybody got to come to play. That's how I feel. Execute on their plays and know the assignment. We'd be all right.
Emmanuel, you've had 5 touchdowns, and you had them in the span of 6 games. It was like it was almost clockwork. You were going to get a touchdown catch in the middle of that season. How big would it be for you to be able to catch a TD pass in the Toro Bowl?
It's going to be pretty big. Getting my team a touchdown and just touching the end zone is going to be pretty big.
Hopefully they will touch the end zone a lot. Remember, they scored 47 points a year ago. Wasn't quite enough. They know if they can score 47 points this year, it will likely be enough to get that first bowl victory for Tom Minnick in the Tom Minnick era at Arizona Western College. Emmanuel, Dionte, Tom, good luck on Saturday. We hope you will be out there watching him and cheering him on as far as Veterans Memorial Stadium is concerned. And if not, you can have it right here on AWC TV. We'll begin our special pregame coverage at 12:30 on AWC TV and the Ustream app, 1 o'clock kickoff. We're going to talk about the other parts of Bowl Week next.